Hey guys, it's Michael. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to a new video of the programming series. In this video, I will show you how you can modify your 5x5 system so it will make you gains forever. When I first started strength training, the 5x5 system was one of the first systems I used to improve my strength gains, and it worked very well for me. And I know that a lot of you out there are also using a 5x5 system and it made you good gains. So let's discuss first why the 5x5 system became so popular and why it's a useful system to use. If we're training in the 5RM range, even with some reps in reserve, we are very likely to train with over 80% of our 1 rep max. That means we're stimulating strength very well. If we're training in the lower rep ranges, we can pretty easy make sure that we're training close enough to failure, so in the range of 0 to 5 reps in reserve, which equals a lot of stimulating reps. That means the 5x5 system is also a very good system for building size. So it does not only stimulate strength, but also hypertrophy very well. Especially for beginners, working with a 5x5 system offers a lot of practice. So it will stimulate your technique very well. You're running through 25 repetitions, 5 straight sets one after another, so you accumulate a lot of practice, which means that also your technique over time will become very good. Even though the 5x5 system is a great system, as with every other system, over time you will reach a certain plateau and a system needs to be adapted. We will take a look at how the 5x5 system is often used, and then I will tell you 3 steps that you can use to make sure that once you hit a plateau, you can adjust your system so you can make further gains. As we know, in order to get stronger and to gain a lot of practice and to stimulate muscle growth, we want to train at least on a frequency of 2. So athletes often use a 5x5 system 2 days a week. Now, assuming you are more in the beginner stage of your training phase, what you're going to use is 5x5 on 2 days with a so-called linear progression. That means you choose a weight and you train it 5 sets, 5 repetition, and once you hit that weight for all 5 sets and all 5 reps, you increase it by the smallest amount, so 1.25 or 2.5 kg. And then you repeat that in the next week. And as you're a beginner and you have a lot of rookie gains, that is a system that will work perfectly fine for at least a couple of weeks, for some out there even a couple of months. And at a certain point, once you become stronger, 5x5 here and 5x5 here is a lot of volume. It creates a lot of fatigue, so you might hit a plateau because you're not able to recover from this 5x5 system on 2 days, and that will lead us to step number 1. So we're taking a look at the following scenario. You are a beginner and you trained your 5x5 system for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. You made good progress, but now you feel you hit a plateau. You feel fatigued, you feel smashed, and you can just not increase the weight anymore on your 5x5 system. Step number 1 that you should try is reduce the number of sets of day number 2. So contrary to the popular belief, we don't want to train more and more sets as we get stronger, but we rather want to decrease the sets, because each set will stimulate us more, we can move more weight, so it will also provide us with more fatigue. That means with a 5x5 system like that, you're probably under-recovered by your next day 1 session. Step number 1 is you're going to reduce day 2 to a 4x5 system. Then you test that and see if you can increase this day again. If you're still not making further gains, you're going down to a 3x5 system on day 2. And then there is a very high chance that you're making progress on day 1 again. You reduced the sets of day 2 and you made some good gains again, but then as it happens, you hit a plateau again. Step number 2, almost self-explanatory. What worked for day 2 will also work to a certain extent on day 1, where day 1 is your main session. So you want to not reduce it as much, but maybe go down to a 4x5. Because what you need to consider is that maybe when you started that system, you started, let's say, a dip period 5x5 with 15 or 20 kg. And by the time we are here at step 2, you're maybe moving 50 kg, 55 kg per set. So you doubled the amount already that you're moving per repetition. That means also the stimulus and the overall energy your system experiences and needs to provide is much, much bigger. So you need more time to recover. So going a bit down in sets again can give you another good period of gains. You don't want to do that to an extreme. So if we're going to 3 times 5 and 3 times 5 on both sets and maybe 2 times 5 and 2 times 5 here, then we're hitting another problem, which will be detraining. Because then, if you remember, we're not getting a lot of practice. The stimulus might not be enough to provide us with further muscle growth, and maybe not enough stimulating sets to provide us with strength growth. So decreasing the number of sets works just to a certain extent, and that is something that you individual need to test carefully. So for some, this will work very long. Some might decrease it much quicker. And then if you're at this stage and you're hitting a plateau, we're now taking a look at step 3 because there's more you can do. Step number 3 will require a bit more advanced programming knowledge, because what we're going to do is we will set up a more complex load management system. The first thing that I want you to consider is that you make a difference in your head between day 1 and day 2. And we consider day 1 to be our primary session. So the important session where we want to have the heavier loads and the more specific strength training. And day 2, we're thinking of a secondary day, so a bit less important than day 1 and a bit less specific in the loads compared to that day. What we're going to do is we will take that 4 times 5 system and we will split it up into a 1 times 5 and a 3 times 5. So this is what you would call a top set then. So what we're doing is to make sure we're not gassing out towards the later sets. We're doing 1 heavy set and then we're dropping the load by 5%, 10%, depending on the exercise, to then do the later sets 3 times 5 with a bit reduced weight. Why are we doing that? Because that will give us more room to progress in the future. So what we're doing is, by the start of our training plan, we leave a bit of buffer here and we're then increasing it week by week. And as we're having a load drop after set 1, that works for all sets. If we're not having that load drop, then due to the nature of straight sets, where each set accumulates more fatigue, means each set becomes harder. That means the last set is always the hardest set, and it's very hard to progress 5 straight sets if you are advanced. It does not work pretty well. It works good when you are a beginner, but if you're strong, you cannot have 5 very hard sets because you're gassing out by set 3, set 4, and you're not making it with proper form or the weights and the repetitions you want to do to set number 4 or 5. So we're splitting the load up. And for our secondary day, what we can do is we can leave the 3 times 5 system with constant weight. That would be an option, or constant RPE, which will give us maybe every second, every third week, a small increase in weight. So the idea is that this session offers just a bit of progression, but still enough stimulus to practice and not too much pre-fatigue to perform well here on the primary day. And a system like that, with some adjustments here and there, is what you can use forever, because there's so much room now to adjust it and to progress it that you're never running out of gains. Now a bit of advertisement. If you are interested in advanced programming strategies and you want to learn how you can go from a basic strength program to an advanced strength program, considering load management, integrating auto-regulation with reps in reserve and RPEs, working percentage based, understanding the differences between top and back of sets, ascending loads, static reps, straight sets, load drops, and all the different strategies and how to program over time with different periodization models, then the strength programming course is your address. All the information is available online today, so you can gain all the knowledge for free. But the hard thing is to put all the information in context, to find the right order, where to start, how to apply the knowledge, also how to apply the research. And this is what I did for you. So with over 100 videos and an Excel sheet next to the video course that guides you step by step from selecting your goals, selecting the exercises, selecting the rep ranges, selecting the strategy, so top and back offset, straight sets, ascending loads, and so on, towards selecting the right exercise order, the distribution in the day, so primary, secondary, tertiary day approach, and from that putting in all the reps, putting in the loads, learning strategies to improve your rear accuracy, so making sure that you're really working with 2 reps in reserve, 3 reps in reserve. It's all covered from A to B to C in understandable steps, in an understandable language, in a practical way. So you're actually going to program alongside me. So you're really writing your own strength program. And that is what I did for you in this course. So yes, all the knowledge is out there for free, but not as compact, as sorted, and put in the right order with practical advices from someone who wrote 1,000 strength programs in his life and proved his knowledge with tons of clients' results and his own results. So yeah, you'll definitely love that course. And the good news here is I also did not make it expensive, even though it's a huge amount of knowledge. And the first version of the course with full access to all the video courses and the programming file starts at $150. So definitely affordable for everyone. So stay tuned. I've linked you the product page, release date, not 100% clear yet. I need to do 1 and 2 improvements, but I've linked you the product page so you can already take a look at it. And the first video of the course, the absolute basics, is free for you on the webpage, and enjoy it.